Hello, Jim Hodges here, Atlas here. Atlas is a Brittany Spaniel, a little over a year old, about 14 months of age. She came in for our residency training program, and she came in for extreme levels of anxiety. I don't know any other way to say it, so we are here to try to help manage behavior. If you've seen some of my videos where I've talked about behavior or anxiety in the past, I personally believe that anxiety can be lessened, reduced, make it within a working environment with obedience. Why? Because obedience teaches a dog that when we ask you to do something, it needs to do it right then. It's black and white, on, off, no shades of gray. And why is that good for a dog? It gives them structure, that pack structure. They know their boundaries. They know that someone is a higher authority than they are in the pack. And over time, they get comfortable with that. Or I truly believe that. Now, you're never going to, in some situations, you're never going to cure everything. It's always a work in progress. And that's what we have here with Atlas. But I think she's come a long way. She has got a few levels of anxiety, the excitement and submissive urination, which is a little bit different than most. I like to tell people most puppies will grow out of it. She has not grown out of it at this age yet. So we've addressed this with our obedience and with our owners. And thank you to our owners who are willing for me to share this with people out there that watch these videos. So hopefully some of the tips I give you today may help you with your dog if you have anxiety issues with them, okay? You know, they had a choice. They have a dog that will shut down on occasion, and I don't think it's from them. I think it's a genetic thing. They have a dog that sometimes they can pet it, sometimes they can't. And what we have to do are try to find the factors or markers in life to try to stop that from happening. And what I've done with Atlas here is right before I've come out here, I took her out to use the bathroom. Is that going to be a benefit? I don't know. But I know it can only help. She's a little unusual is because she could pee now and in 2 minutes pee again and she gets a little worried. So you're going to see me try to avoid that. Having said that, there are times when she'll shut down in working. So you have to be very careful. You know, I tell people all the time we talk about motivation, and motivation is praise and consequence. Praise, in my words, are words, touch, treat, toy, and positive emotion. In her case, we've got to find the right time to give that positive emotion, okay? Sometimes it needs to be a little more measured than other times it can be very exalting, if you will. The consequence is the same way. It's words and touch. Sometimes you're going to have to be measured with what you do and make sure that your emotion doesn't get the best of you. We're going to work with her. If she starts to shut down, we're going to work through it. She's come a long way. Our owners have seen that, and I think we're to a point that if we continue to build, we're going to get a lot out of her. Okay, so watch what's going on. I'm going to sort of talk in between. Just know that a lot of times with a dog that has the excitement or submissive urination or can shut down because they're a little fearful or afraid, you know, direct eye contact is a challenge and it can scare them. So you'll hear me say, watch the eye contact, and I'll not be looking right at her eyes. I'll be looking in her peripheral, right behind her. So she can still see my face pointing that way, but I'm not challenging. Okay, sweetheart, you ready? And you're going to hear me try to motivate her, and you're going to hear me praise her. But depending on how I feel on that praise, and I'll try to describe it when I can, some of it may be more measured, some of it may be stronger. She's doing real good. One of the things I tell people is whenever she's doing good, you know, reach down, pet her calmly. Good girl. Letting her know that I'm happy with her. Hopefully she's in a good point. The other point I would like to make is when our dog is worried. It is so important not to empathize and sympathize. We don't feel sorry for her and start to pet and love and coddle. I truly believe when we do that, we're actually reinforcing what she's feeling by the attention and the lavish attention that we give. I say it's a lot like with children. You tell her to put on her big girl pants and let's go. And you just keep on moving. Okay? You ready, sweetheart? Okay, let's go. Atta girl. I actually did a video with her when she came. I haven't put it on YouTube. You can look on my website, YouTube, or even on Facebook. When she first came, she was a puller. So bad that she was coughing tremendously. If you've heard me talk about coughing and pulling on a leash, that besides accidents that can happen to humans and to dogs, we were creating, I believe, a lot of scar tissue damage on the esophagus and the trachea. She very rarely coughs right now. And that's because dogs like to pull. And we typically pull back, and all they do is leverage. My techniques, and you can watch in any of the videos, is all about tapping and releasing. Good girl. Because when we tap and release the leash, she can't measure, she can't leverage and pull against it. She has to think about what we want, and as soon as she does what we want, we tell her, good girl. We mark it and let her know. I don't use clickers, I'm the clicker, okay? That's my marker. Good girl, that's what I want. Okay, sweetheart, let's go. So our walking on the leash, and she's beside us, as with any other video. We don't want her pulling. You notice I changed directions. I had a girl, I'm petting her, not making great eye contact. I think I might even give her a treat. Good girl. Nice to script. I want to see her butt go all the way down, even not sit, because that's where she'd hover a little bit and she would urinate a little. Good girl. Great. Atta girl. So our let's go is right here, just like in the others. She starts to pull. We're going to tap right back to our side, tell her, no, let's go. Okay? With a dog that may be a little unsure or a little fearful, in times of her life, if she gets behind, we're going to do our best to motivate her, to excite her to come up to us. What does that mean? That means encouragement. Hey, baby, let's go. Atta girl. A lot of times, I'll even pretend like I'm running to get a dog to move up when they're unsure about themselves, because my legs pumping back and forth will usually speed up a dog. The only time I'll correct a dog for lagging behind is when they're being willful and saying, hey, I'm not going to walk with you. Then I'll do the tap and the leash. Remember, my taps, my consequences are not designed to intimidate, dominate, break their spirit, hurt them, or have them fear us. They are to know that I'm in control of the situation and I'm the leader, just as in the pack with dogs. Let's go. So, good girl. Sit. Atta girl. Good girl. Now, when I'm looking at her, I'm looking down beyond her head. A lot of times when she sits, and when she does sit, I will actually look at her, okay? But in the beginning, I sort of look by her to make sure she does it without having an accident, okay? If she didn't sit, just like in the others, no, sit, I would bite her. It'd be a tap up, no, sit, and she holds it, okay? Good girl. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Let's go. It's been raining all morning this morning. We haven't worked a lot today. But this is her. You see a lot of hunting dogs that have boundless energy. She has it at times, and sometimes she's a little dialed back. Sit. Good girl. So now sit means sit. You know, we want her to not just sit by her side, but when we tell her to sit, we want her to hold it, and she does. The next thing I do from the sit is I'm going to release her. I'm going to bring a treat out because I like to use the release command to start to encourage the come. Bring. Good girl. And she comes to me. Treat, pet. Not a bunch of over emotion here. Good girl. I go where I can go. The very first moment I see her, she's starting to get worried, I back away. Let's go. And dogs, just like in training and behavior, they learn in environments and scenarios. So when you see she starts to get worried in a certain sequence, that's the sequence you want to try to cut back and become more abrupt with as soon as you can. Okay, so we know the sit. If she doesn't sit, we're going to tap straight up. The next is the COME command. And I'll use treats with her as much as I can. I don't advertise the treat, okay? When I take that back. When I first start training, I advertise the treat to try to use it as a teaser or lure. Once she's got it down, it becomes a reward. And I want to do everything I can to reward her. And I have to be real careful with tremendous praise at times unless I feel she's going to be fine. So I'm going to do the COME, and let's see how it goes. Come. She comes, and she sits. Good girl. Treat, pet, love. Break. Notice I gave her the treat as soon as she came and sat. Timing is everything, okay? If I waited 30 seconds afterwards, I wouldn't have been giving her a treat for coming to me. I'd have been giving her a treat for coming and sitting and waiting. Sit. Good girl. All right, down from the side. Now you see she not crazy about downing, but she does it. If she didn't do it, I would have tapped the leash. I'm still going to provide the consequence. I'm just going to be very careful with the consequence, not to intimidate, dominate, break her spirit, get her being afraid. I like to say it's a surgical maneuver. No, down. This is her head. No, down. I'm not going to pull this way, but if I pull this way on down, she's liable to move forward. I want her downing right in her path, okay? Good girl. Good girl. I'm proud of you. I love you. You ready? Let's go. So we come back around, sit, down. Good girl. Good girl. With her, when she's laying down, I feel pretty comfortable she's not going to pee, so I gave her a little bit more praise, a little bit more emotion then. And the whole thing that I'm trying to do is let her realize that we can be very positive with her. We can look at her and she doesn't have to pee. I feel like it may be 100% behavior related. It may be a high percent of behavior related. I'm not 100% certain. I'm going to treat it like it's all behavior. But because she can pee so many times, I worry that sometimes she can't completely void her bladder. Sit. Good girl. Good. Let's go. Okay. This has been a major test. I'll go ahead and tell you. We've had pee pads on our beds and things like that. She's really improved, but she's still subject to pee on her bed. Just the last couple of days, we have been going full tilt with her hopping on, and she's done well. But if I get her up early or real quick, just realize I'm trying to, based off prior instances, prevent that from happening. The pee. Okay, baby. Please. Atta girl. And what I'm doing is looking away. See how uncertain she is? I'm looking away. I'm not making any contact. And I'm just going to watch her for a minute. Now, if I saw her start to go to a squat, I'd probably release her or tell her, let's go. I can go from any command to another command. So I could break her from here, or I could go right into a let's go if I wanted. Good girl. She's doing fine. She's very unsure of herself right now, and she's done this 10 times a day or more every day with us now for 12 days, okay? But that's just the nature of who she is. You can see the panting a little bit. She's a little bit unsure. Again, I'm not going to placate that. I'm not going to sympathize and empathize by loving her a whole lot. Good girl. Right. So, she stood there. That's fine. Remember my rules for praise. Lay down, sit down, stand up, read a book, smoke a cigarette, whatever you want to do, stay on the bed. You can't get off of it. Okay? So when I did that, that's fine. We're going to come back. Good girl. Atta girl. Good girl. So that time she went right in and laid down, and I wanted to let her know that's okay. Remember, she stands up, good girl. She lays down, good girl. The thing that we want to try to prevent is her possibly the urination process there, submissive urination. Definitely wouldn't be excitement. Right, let's go. Good girl. So, didn't want to overcrowd. You saw how I dropped the leash and pulled it up real quick, because I want to avoid any situation of her peeing. The further I can get away from it, hopefully the further it's going to be and possibly be removed one day. Okay, baby. Load up. Come on, baby, load up. Good girl. Good girl. Yes. Great. Let's go. Load up is for cars, for furniture, is for whatever we want it to be. Sit. Now we're going to do the heel command. As I told their owners, I use heel to show off, to be in, to show my dogs can do a heel. I do it sometimes in crowded marketplaces and places where there are a lot of people. But typically, 90% of the time or more, I'll use the let's go, because I can control that with my leash. In the times I want to use the heel, I like to say we have an imaginary box. Heel is she stays in the box. My job is to keep her in the box, okay? If she gets out of the box, I want to encourage her back, and that'll be a no heel. Every time I provide a consequence, if she didn't sit, it would be no sit. If she didn't down, it'd no down, no let's go. We always tap on no, okay? Because we're trying to teach her that no is our form of communication with the body. You ready, sweetheart? Heel. Stop. Good girl. She holds it. I'm proud of you. She's actually doing really well today, believe it or not. Heel. So we turn. I'm going to step off. See how she's coming right back to the box? I'm so proud of you, sweetie. Good girl. Good girl. Down. Just decided I wanted down behind that. I get a little venturesome sometimes when things are going so good, but it's always important to test when you feel like you know what their response is, okay? Let's go. Sit. Heel. This time I'm going to turn in this way. See how she's staying in the box? I stop. Good girl. Right. The only other thing I'll do, down. You notice that time I didn't ask her to sit. It was from the stand, okay? Stay. Now I'm telling her to stay. So when I tell her to down or sit, it is meaning that she is to sit or down until I release her. When I put stay on her, that's a little more relaxed. She can lay on her side. She can sleep. She can smell the ground. She can chew on an antler or a yak's neck from my product line. What she can't do is pick up a rock. If she tries to pick up a rock, I will bite her and tell her no, because we don't want that kind of behavior. Good girl. She stopped. I wanted to praise her, to let her know. Part of praise is every time our dog does something that we'll like, especially in a situation where we have limited reasons to like, we want to make sure we reinforce it with praise, treats, toys, whatever. We want to let her know in the most mundane things in life that she successfully does, that we're happy with it. And our goal there is, as long as we provide the proper praise as we move on in that form of motivation, she's going to learn to say, oh, that's what mom and dad want. I can do that. And it's going to make a better relationship. The stay command is real simple. She's there, pack her bags, she's going to be there for a while. That's it. She's going to be there for 20, 30 minutes. Our place, she can be there for an hour or 2 hours. It teaches that we're in control, okay? Even when we don't have minute by minute to be with her. I appreciate it. Anybody who has some sort of anxiety issues, feel free to reach out. They can be pretty difficult at times. I just believe that depending on the situation, and they all vary, obedience is a wonderful way. Good obedience, somebody who knows how to do obedience in black and white, is a great way to help a dog start to feel comfortable over time. Take care and God bless.